if you are feeling lost, if you're feeling like you can't seem to stay consistent in anything that you're doing, if you're feeling demotivated, if you're feeling uninspired, if you find yourself playing the comparison game a lot, if you just feel discouraged when you get online, when you see what other people are doing, it's probably because you haven't taken time to define your success. Hello, welcome back to the show. We're trying something new this year, which is a video podcast. I did a couple like this at the end of last year. And let's be honest, last year was not consistent with my podcasting flow, but I'm going to share a little bit about what's been going on the last few months and why we're making some of these transitions and just the crazy little roller coaster ride that I've been on. In case you care to know, we'll just talk about it for a minute, and then we're going to dive into what this show is really going to include, what it's going to encompass, and what's in it for you, what I'm going to be here to provide for you, and why I'm so excited and looking so forward to a new season of the show. But first, let's just talk about the fact that we're doing video, and I've never really done this before, even with solo episodes, and I have to keep reminding myself that y'all are on the other side of this, listening, watching, and I've been kind of able to just sit in my little mind palace and lose myself and not have to stare at a camera and kind of let my train of thought go, but now with video, it just feels like it needs to be more polished, more prepared, but that's not the case. I just want to keep this real. The thing that I've always loved about podcasting is its vulnerability and its authenticity and just the rawness of podcasting. So even though I am doing video, I'm going to discipline myself, or rather not discipline myself, to change anything about what I would say or how I would show up on the podcast, because this is still going to be available as audio only over on the podcasting apps, but we're going to have awesome video clips to share on social media, which I will get into in future episodes. So you'll kind of know like why we're doing it that way. But just to give you a little background, this podcast has been through a lot. I've been through a lot in being a podcaster, but so I get hired by these friends for their podcast, and I'm like, I don't understand what this is. I'm thinking I'm going to take corporate photos. We end up on the beach. They're jumping, and I'm like, what is happening right now? What is this podcasting thing? And I ended up looking for their show so that I could see my photo, the artwork, and see my work in action. It was just that was kind of the extent of why I wanted to look. And then I fell into the world of podcasting. I discovered that they were literally for free teaching so much good information about how to be successful, how to become a millionaire. And I was instantly hooked into, number one, listening to podcasts, and number two, I wanted to have one. And so I started one really soon after that. And I'm going to talk so much more about that because that is really what this podcast is going to center around. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't want to have a podcast or you don't have a podcast that there's going to be no value here, because at the end of the day, I'm speaking to women who are trying to balance the family life with the business, because I've been through that struggle for years. And now I homeschool my children, so there's even more of a balancing act to have to juggle. But there's so much that we can do to make that possible and to keep our hearts centered in the right place. So this podcast is not only going to be great business and coaching and mindset and all the good stuff, the inspiring stories from other entrepreneurs, other successful people, it's also going to be a ton of mentorship on how to start your podcast, monetize a podcast, use the power of your voice to connect with other people. I love social media, don't get me wrong. It's a great place to connect. It's a great place to get leads. It's a great place to grow your business. And I use it, and, I have a love-hate relationship with it. But podcasting is something that has been constant. It's been there forever. It's been there for me ever since the beginning of my online journey. And it has opened way more doors than any social media post ever has. And I do believe that it can be a core content, a core method where you show up and you connect in a much deeper way with your audience, with your potential customers, with your friends, with your network. It is extremely powerful. And podcasting is multifaceted. So in addition to just having a podcast and understanding how to be a stellar host, how to monetize your podcast, how to structure everything, there's also the advantages there of being a guest on other people's shows. And so I want to give you some mentorship on that as well. So maybe if you're not ready to start your own, but you want to start getting your feet wet, getting comfortable with podcasting and going and being on other people's shows, I'm going to help you figure out how to succeed with that and how to leverage that so that you can grow your business, grow your reach, grow your impact, and ultimately make more money by not having to be on the hamster wheel of endless social media content creation, because this is where it's at. So just to give you some reference, just some context here, there are still doors opening today for my life, for my business. There's still a network that continuously expands because it really is a ripple effect. As soon as you've thrown that initial pebble in, the ripples never actually stop. Sometimes it looks that way when it hits the shore, but that's not true. The ripples never end. And that is something that I have learned firsthand from having a podcast. It doesn't matter that I haven't actively recorded episodes for pretty much 5 years. I was really consistent in the first 3 years, but that consistency I put in, the amount of people I connected with, has paid dividends over the course of the next 5 years. And even just in that first year of podcasting, I started out doing 5 episodes a week. I treated it like my full-time gig. Eventually, I did other things to where the podcast could not be the only exclusive thing that I did, but it worked so well to grow a network, to build so many connections, and monetize myself pretty much immediately. I was making money pretty quickly, even though I didn't have a huge follower count. I didn't really use social media that much. I wasn't trying to grow social media, but my podcast was my goal, and growing my podcast was like my number one priority, and it has done so many amazing things for me. It's the thing I attribute most of my success to, if not all of my success to, because the connections that I made led to business endeavors, led to networking opportunities, led to public speaking opportunities. It's the reason that I did everything that I have done since then, and it has led to multiple six-figure businesses. So if that's something that you are searching for, if you want a way to kind of build deeper connection and have something that's going to be more long-term, not only is long-form content great for more connection value, it can live for so much longer, and it can do so much more and have a greater impact than those standalone social media posts. So over the course of the show, I'm going to show you really what I've done and how I have leveraged the power of podcasting to grow my business, and what you can do. Even though right now it might seem like everyone has a podcast and you're too late, you're absolutely not. I remember when I started almost 8 years ago hearing like, we're not even on the cusp of the wave. And I was like, seems like everyone has one. And now this many years later, I can see, yeah, now we are starting to get more saturated, but there is so much opportunity out there. If you look at your social media feed, a lot of times it is clips from podcasts. It's feeds like this with conversations, and it's just going to go through a whole new level up where people are going to treat podcasting with more creativity. It's going to get its day in the sun more than I think it ever has. So if that's been on your radar, if you've wanted to start one, whether it's just to kind of make more connections, have more fun, share your story, or it's to grow your business, I believe it is one of the most powerful tools, most powerful connection tools that we have on the internet today. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I homeschool. The traditional way of hustling hard and making money in an online business does not work for me. I do believe that we all have a voice, we all have a story, and we all have a journey that we are meant to explore and to go down, and that we all have a personal legend that we're meant to fulfill. And I want to be here for you to motivate you to achieve your personal destiny. I really, really believe that God put us all here with a purpose, with a plan, and that it's our job to listen to that, to heed that call, and to make the impact where we are meant to. My number one priority has been, and always will be my home, my family. Hands down, 100%, my greatest impact is going to be right here in the walls of my home. And I will be honest, that has led to a lot of struggle, internal struggle, external struggle, when it comes to knowing whether or not I'm really supposed to have a business, whether or not I really want to have a business. But at the end of the day, there's also this part of my soul that aches for and yearns for community, and being able to take these things that I've learned and the experiences that I've had to strengthen other women. I just got my hair done today by somebody who's pretty young. She's not married yet, doesn't have a family yet, and she's beginning her career. And I couldn't help myself but give her advice, some coaching, so that she can build a more long-term sustainable life when she is ready to get married, to have children, because that's on the horizon for her. That's what she wants. And I love being able to contribute to this narrative, not that we have to hustle harder or that we can have it all, because while I do believe that to an extent, I believe that has to be done in moderation and with awareness of seasons. And all of the things that I've learned in trying to do the hustle hard thing and then doing absolutely nothing and finding that beautiful balance of the in-between, that's what I feel like I have a unique perspective to bring to the table. And so that's what you can expect here on the show. A combination of hearing from other successful entrepreneurs, women, moms who are building businesses while they're growing their families, while they're nurturing their families, and how we can harmoniously blend those two. And then obviously a bunch of cool podcasters who also have shows that I would love you to listen to, who are going to come on here and share how podcasting has impacted them and how it's helped them grow their businesses, expand their reach, make greater impact. Some of my coaching clients, people who I'm helping launch podcasts, to come on and share their experiences with you. Because if there's anything I've learned, there really is strength in community. That is my number one goal here, is to build a community where we are putting family first, but we have a strong desire to take the mic, pick it up, and build our businesses, where we know that we have something more that we're called to do, and that motherhood does not become secondary to that. It is along the way part of our identity. It's who we are at a core level. and it doesn't need to be sacrificed in order to have this beautiful dream and this vision over here. So it's to grow a sustainable business. I want to bring on advice from other experts who have found a way to do all of those things, to have sustainable businesses online while still maintaining healthy, thriving families, and just give you examples of that, because thankfully we're in a time where there's more and more of that available to us. We can see more people doing it, but I've also seen a lot of crashing and burning. I've seen people who are trying to hold so many things in the air and everything crumbles, and I want to help you understand how you can do it without letting everything fall apart. And part of that really is in the power of podcasting. It's a sustainable way to maximize on your time, build connection, and do things in a more relaxed way that's going to just bring you leads, bring you connection, bring you a great network without having to do all of the hustling and the chasing. So I'm stoked for this season of the show. I'm stoked for all the episodes that are going to come that are going to help you, nurture you, love on you. That is at the end of the day what I want to do the most, is just give you a big, huge hug through the screen and help you know you're not alone. Many, many women have come before you. There are many who will come after you. And what you do now matters. The impact you feel called to create and make in your business, in your home, it matters. It is not insignificant. It is important. You are important, and you do have a mission to fulfill. And I want to show you that. I want to illustrate that for you. And I want you to feel loved and supported as you take that journey, as you take all of those steps in your journey. So now that we kind of know what the show is going to look like and what I have in store for you, there's something that I wanted to address today on this episode that I was going to cover in my last episode that was going to be on the new iteration of the podcast. And that is really defining success. It's very personal. Success is very personal. And it's something that I want to challenge you to redefine for yourself. I remember sitting on my bed in California when I was launching my podcast and just thinking, success is really subjective. I didn't realize that it's a word that we use to label a lot of different things, but to each individual person, success is very, very personal, right? Like your version of success is different than mine. The way I would define it is going to be different than my husband or anybody else. And it's really changed a lot over the course of the years as well. So what my mom might have considered successful for her as a mom is different than what I consider successful. This is something that, even though I remember it being a really profound moment when I had that aha moment, that it was something that I needed to explore more, it still tripped me up a lot. And I played a lot of the comparison game with looking at success from other people and trying to measure myself against what they're doing and what my mom did and what my grandma did and what my friends are doing, my neighbors are doing. There's something that we have to stop doing. And I know you know this, and I've covered this in previous episodes about staying in our lane. But I think before you can even do that, you have to know what your lane is. You have to define what success means for you. Because until you do that, you're going to get pulled in 85 different directions, and you're going to be easily swayed when a shiny object pops up. This is something that I've had to learn, and it's the reason that we're getting more anchored here on the podcast, is success has had to be defined differently for me now at this season of my life than it was even when I first started having children. Before I even got married, success has meant different things along my personal journey. And if I don't define what success is for me right now, as a mother, as a business owner, as a wife, all of those different hats that I wear, then I find myself floundering and I live in a very reactive state. And if you don't take the time to do this, you're going to probably find yourself in the same boat. So if you are feeling lost, if you're feeling like you can't seem to stay consistent in anything that you're doing, if you're feeling demotivated, if you're feeling uninspired, if you find yourself playing the comparison game a lot, if you just feel discouraged when you get online, when you see what other people are doing, it's probably because you haven't taken time to define your success. I mentioned in a previous episode that I want to talk a lot about the book, The Alchemist. It was such a profound story for me. It's a short read, and it is such a beautiful story. It's a simple story, and yet there's so many different profound meanings in there. And I'm going to break this down on multiple episodes coming up because it's something that I find very, very intriguing and that we can all apply to our lives right now. It's a parable. It's beautiful. But one of the things that the main character does is he has a very specific vision and a very specific goal for what he is going to do at the very beginning of the book. And along the journey, it is that specific goal that keeps him going. And I will get into this in future episodes. But while there are so many distractions and failures, the only reason that he's able to move forward is because at the very beginning, he defined what success was going to be for him. And not in those specific exact words. He just knew where he was going. And that's really what defining personal success is. It's knowing where you're going. You may not end up there in the exact way that you think. The road may not look exactly like you map it out to look like. But if you don't know where you're going, if you don't define that success, it's just like the Cheshire Cat when he's talking to Alice in Alice in Wonderland. When she says, well, which way should I go? And he asks her, well, where are you going? And she says, I don't know. And he said, well, then I guess it really doesn't matter which direction you choose. The same thing applies to ourselves. So it's important that you have taken the time to get centered, to get focused on what success means to you as a mom and as a business owner, and even a combination of those things. Because there will be seasons when the business success is the thing, like the business revenue is going to be the biggest marker of success. There are going to be seasons when working less is more of an indication of success. Being able to scale the income, but scale back the time. There's so many different variations of this. And so I want to give you a little challenge on today's episode, and I'm going to do this in future episodes because I don't want you to just come and listen and feel excited and have some, good feelings. I want you to have some takeaways, and I really want to help you to grow that sustainable business that I've told you about as we launched into the season. So my very first challenge to you is to take time today, this week, to journal. However you want to do that. If it's writing down pen to paper, I find that to be incredibly powerful because there's something that happens with our neural connections when we actually write. Or if it's jotting it down on a note on your phone. I've actually recorded myself in a video before too, just like talking to the camera so that I could capture all of the emotion and the feeling behind what I'm trying to say, kind of just as a personal log, a personal video journal. You can record a voice memo. Whatever it is, take the time to ask yourself, what do I define success to be at this season of my life? And then, no matter what I coach you to do, there will be things that you're like, that's not applicable to me, or that's exactly what I need to hear. And as you go throughout life and you hear other things from other people, it will not be a deterrent. It won't be a distraction. It won't be overwhelming because you will know what you need to achieve that version of success that you have set yourself out to achieve. Like I said, it's going to shift. It's going to change. It's always going to be kind of morphing into whatever it needs to be. And it's good to reevaluate that regularly. But today, no matter how long you've been in business, whether you're just starting or you've been doing this a long time, I encourage you to do this exercise, to take some time to define what success looks like for you. What does it feel like? What does it look like? How will you measure it? How will you know when you've achieved it? That's how we also avoid feeling like we're chasing an invisible rabbit that no one can see. When we take the time to define what success is going to be specifically as our family, then it's so much easier for our kids to get on board and to catch the vision so that we can all work towards that common goal. When I do this in my marriage, when we set a common goal together, when we know what we're trying to set out to do, maybe financially or emotionally, there's something we want to work on physically. When we are on the same page, that is how success happens. When you're on the same page with yourself, when you make sure that you've defined that for yourself, that is when success actually happens because you will know it by what you've defined it to be. Because if you think that there's just going to be a day that you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I've done it. I'm successful. Holy cow, here we are. I can almost guarantee that that is not going to happen unless beforehand you have taken the time to establish what that is even going to look like. So for me, in the past, it's been a financial goal. Once I have made $1 million, once I become a millionaire, I will feel successful. And so I had my eye on the prize, and everything I did moved me in that direction. Everything I was building, all the sacrifices I made, they were moving me to that version of success. Now, success looks very different to me. It has nothing to do with a number. I still have goals with money, with finances, and what I want to make in my business, but that is not what I'm defining success by. And if I stayed with that goal, if it was still about money, when I've already learned some of those lessons about having that goal and what that looks like, then I would probably never feel motivated because I've already climbed that mountain. I don't want to climb it again. And I've needed to redefine what success is for me. So yes, it's ongoing, but it has to start somewhere. You have to define what success is for you. Otherwise, you're going to be chasing something and you're not going to know when you've caught it. It's that simple. So many more episodes are coming your way, just like this one, where we're going to define success. We're going to level up your business from the inside out. I'm going to show you how to use the power of your voice. We're going to have so much fun. It is going to be the most insane year of this season of the podcast and just the years to come. I cannot wait to bring all of the things that I have in store for you. So until the next episode, when I'm interviewing a real life rock star, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Are you ready to create more passive marketing in your business so that you can spend time doing the things that you love, serving your clients, serving your family? If so, I have something I think you're going to love. Go check out the quiz playbook because I'm going to show you how you can use interactive marketing to connect to your buyers and your audience on a deeper level while also automating a part of your business that you've been spending way too much time on. You can grab it absolutely free at quizplaybook.com.